Greetings, Westman here to talk to you today about motorcycle carburation. What I have in my hands is a Keihin 722A constant velocity carburetor from a 1972 Honda cb350. The purpose of a carburetor is to combine air and fuel into a mixture that's delivered to the cylinder to be combusted. The air is going to enter the system through the inlet here, which is going to be connected directly to your air filter. The fuel is going to enter through this inlet here, which will be connected via a tube to your fuel tank. The air and fuel will be combined inside the carburetor, and the mixture will come out through this outlet here, which will connect directly to your cylinder. The ratio of air to fuel from inside the carburetor is adjusted through this screw here, which is called your mixture screw appropriately. And this is a static adjustment, and by that I mean that you will set your mixture while you're tuning the bike, and then you're going to leave it be. It's going to be like that until you make some other modification, change your exhaust, change your air filters, or do some other tuning work to the motorcycle. There is a dynamic adjustment to the air-fuel mixture, which is known as the choke. And the purpose of the choke is to change the ratio of air to fuel specifically by reducing the amount of air coming into the system. Now, on the inlet side here for the air, you can see that there's a little gate in here, which is horizontal, and airflow is unrestricted. And this is with the choke in the open position. As I close the choke, you can see that this gate drops down. Kind of looks like a little smiley face in there. And he is going to block air from getting into the system. And that's going to create a fuel-rich mixture that you're going to want to use when you're starting up your bike. So typical starting procedure from cold is you're going to want to close the choke all the way or partially, kickstart your bike, and let it warm up. And while it's warming up, you can slowly make adjustments to the choke until you've got it fully open. Once it's open all the way, the bike is warmed up, and you're ready to ride. Now, as the air and fuel get mixed within the carburetor, we're going to let that come out through the outlet here into the cylinder. The amount of the mixture that's going to go into the cylinder is going to be controlled by another gate on this side, which has a bar connected through it. And on this end, we've got a little arm, which is spring-loaded, so that it always snaps shut. And this will be connected via cable to the handlebar throttle control. As you pull back on the throttle, you'll pull up on this lever, and you'll open up the gate and allow air and fuel to enter the cylinder. When you relax the handlebar throttle control and the bike is idling, the amount of air-fuel mixture coming in is going to be controlled over here by what we call the idle screw. And this is another static adjustment. You're going to want to set this so that your bike idles at the right RPM. And by tightening or loosening this screw, you effectively push this arm up or down, which moves the gate open or close. By tightening the screw, you raise the arm and allow more air and fuel in. By loosening it, you close it and allow less to come into the cylinder. And again, when you're tuning, you're going to want to set your air-fuel mixture down here, and you're going to want to set your idle screw here so that the bike idles properly and you have the right air-fuel mixture. Now, that's basic carburetor anatomy. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the parts. Here I've got the left cylinder carburetor, but I've taken the liberty of disassembling the right side carburetor, which I have here. And I'd like to show you a few things, specifically this bottom section, which is called the float bowl. As fuel enters the system, it's going to pool inside the float bowl. And there's a control that will regulate the amount of fuel in the float bowl at any point in time. And the purpose here is to make sure that you've got fuel in the float bowl at all times. Not too much, not too little, but there's always something there ready to be pulled through the carburetor with the air and go into the cylinder. On my website, dicky-pickles.org, you can download a Honda motorcycle carburation guide, which talks about all of these concepts in much greater detail. To prevent overflow, there's a brass tube here with an outlet and a small pin-sized inlet on top here. When the float bowl fills up too high, fuel will overflow into this tube, and it will outlet on the bottom. You should have a tube hooked to this, and the other end of the tube just hangs out low below your engine, so that any fuel overflow will land on the ground instead of landing on your crankcase. The fuel coming in is going to be regulated also by these floats, which are going to attach roughly right about here. And these are hollow, maybe brass, and when the float bowl is empty, these will hang low. And as fuel fills into the float bowl, this will come up, and it will reduce the amount of fuel that's being pulled into the float bowl to make sure that this has a constant level inside of it. Once in the float bowl, the fuel is going to get pulled through these holes here, which will have jets in them. And the jets will control, help regulate how the fuel is entering the body of the carburetor at different throttle positions. When you're idling, you'll have your idle jet active. In fact, the idle jet's active constantly. And the idle jet allows some fuel in when you've got the handlebar all the way, the handlebar control all the way closed, the throttle all the way closed, to keep some fuel flowing through the system in order for it to idle. And as you pull back on the throttle control, you will activate the secondary jet and the main jet at different positions on the throttle, so that when you have the throttle wide open, you've got all three jets running at the same time, and fuel is flowing through at the highest rate. As you change, if you choose to change your air filters or your exhaust system, you're going to want to rejet, and that means getting different jets to match the system, so that you've got a matchup between the air coming in and the exhaust coming out, so that everything is in a balance, because the air filters, the carburetors, and your exhaust are going to comprise your fuel intake and exhaust systems, and those all need to be in balance for the motorcycle to run efficiently and optimally. That's pretty much it from me. I hope you enjoyed this video.